What's up, everyone? Welcome to an exciting moment on AdNox. AdNox is a program where we discuss about naughty issues about life and humanity. And on today's show, we'll be discussing a very wonderful topic that has to do with the youth and the older generation. I am the Grandmaster, and I will be your host for today's show. To discuss today's topic with me is to my immediate right is a beautiful lady who is highly opinionated, who belongs to the younger generation. I call her small but mighty. Kindly kindly introduce
I'm
yourself.
feeling myself already. Thank you for the introduction. My name is Anu Olua, but you can call me Nunu.
All right, she's saying her name is Anolua. You can call her Nunu. And to my other right is a lady. You can see her beautiful smile. I call her baby coach.
Hello everyone, my name is Fortune, but you can call me Baby Coach.
All right, you heard that as well. And the last but not the least.
I'm Ode. Just call me Ode for short. It promises to be an exciting one.
All right, like Ode said, it promises to be an exciting show today. Today we'll be talking about culture clash, the older generation versus the youth. This is an interesting topic. You would have seen a lot has happened in the past. Do we want to talk about the NSAS? Do we want to talk about the Gen Zs? How the Gen Zs relate to issues, how issues are being handled. And on today's show again, we'll be talking about respect. What does respect means to the older generation? What does it mean to the newer generation? That's the younger generation as well. How do they perceive things? These are things that we'll be discussing on today's show. Let me ask, what would you say about the culture clash between the older generation and the younger generation?
It's inevitable because for every century or yeah, the new order tries to dethrone what I'll term the old order, right? And you expect that there will definitely be a clash of ideas because value system over time might be eroded or might change, and you do not expect that it's going to be smooth because it's like a transition of power. And let me start with the elder. Sometimes they don't, people live and don't expect that, they forget that they are going to get old at some point. So it now becomes an issue when the person you perceive, the small child of yesterday, now trying to tell you that this thing you're doing is wrong or this thing should be done this way. I would say, let me go back. I'm not old, yeah, but I'm not a Gen Z. At least I'm a millennial. I remember once when I'm trying to pick that particular event when my father told me that you that I gave birth to yesterday, what do you know? And that was, I think, going back in time now, that was the striking point for me where I discovered that, yeah, I think this man needs to respect me and respect my opinions, right? Because I was a child with strong opinions, strong ideas. I remember I argue a lot, right? I don't care who you are. You don't just tell me. And I used to believe in what is written on paper so much. So if I've read it somewhere, don't tell me that it's a lie, right? So, but when he now told me that you that I gave birth to yesterday, what do you know? You want to tell me? And it was actually very serious. He didn't say it joking because, as the father of the house, everything he says, the traditional African home, everything your father says is law, right? So for the first time, someone is standing up and saying no. And I had this mom that, didn't you hear what your father said and all of that? Do you get? So at that point, I remember very well that argument. It was actually something on politics, right? Where I felt you're always saying this man is the best, is the best. So I just grew up with my own opinion. I'm like telling you, no, this is what I think. And for the first time, I could see my mom was caught up in the middle. More like she believed in what I said, but she didn't want to tell her husband in front of me that, look, you are.
But they said a child will always remain a child in the sight of the parents.
Yes, so I'm saying these are the things that causes this cultural clash. when especially as African parents, you don't want to leave your children to air their opinions. And this is me being in the middle, because I'm not a Gen Z and I'm not on the older generation. This is me standing in the middle and saying this is what I think could have led to all of this. And we have a culture that makes that have enthroned the elders to be like the Lord, and then the more like the feudal system where serfs and masters, right? Um, so for us as millennials, we have to strike a balance, because even for the Gen Zs, you're suspecting there is a risk of our culture and value system being totally eroded if they are not properly managed, right? And then for the older generation, we are living with that risk now. Is they took a lot of things, and that this is where we are. I've been in a bus, this urban transit, and
Okay.
somebody was a man in his 60s and someone maybe in his 30s or 40s arguing seriously, and the guy was telling him that you people are the reason why this country is there. And the man got so angry and was telling him that don't talk to me. That he said that's why we are here where we are. He said your generation was very corrupt, and the man said it's our generation that does yahoo yahoo, and the guy said your generation started 419, those kind of things. So the truth is, respect is one thing, but not on every issue should the elders expect respect, because trust me, the youths feel outdone by the old system, and that's what is causing this. And sometimes to get what you want, maybe they feel you just have to relegate respect
You have to
to the
seek
back
permission
door.
from
Okay. To you, baby coach, do you think what causes this the assumed lack of respect to be that the youth of these days, they are the kind of exposure they have is quite different from what their parents had then. Now, when you talk about technology, the youth of these days had
Some
it.
of us.
They got introduced into technology at a very early age, unlike the older generation. I will tell you, I belong to the Generation X. Throughout while I was in the university, there was nothing like mobile phone, let alone to have an email. So the first time I have an email, it was like, wow, I was having my first $1 million. So would you say it's the exposure that they had that okay, they could do things at a faster rate, they could do things at a better rate that will prompt people of these days to feel that okay, I'm more knowledgeable than the older generation because of the exposure that we have. Do you believe in that assertion?
Well, I feel like okay. First off, it's just like
You can use yourself as an example that okay, maybe there's been a point that you felt your parents have been overbearing. After all, you don't agree with them.
yeah, they have been overbearing. I'm not lying.
You want to agree? You want to say that? You confirming that?
Because okay, I stay with my mom, and I'm this kind of person that I'm the only child, so I feel like for everything I do, I think my mom knows best. So I need to get a permission, not before I can do something. At least just
Now or before?
both
Okay.
now and before, but technically then. Okay, because if I'm to do something, she'll be like, "I told you so. I told you so. I told you so." So to avoid the "I told you so," I'm like, okay. At times I'll be scared to ask her concern, or maybe bring up the topic concerning anything, because all these mothers, African mothers, they're always like, anything that is not of the way of the Lord is wrong. If it is not God's willing, it is wrong. Whether you're right and they are wrong, it is still wrong. So I always like want to fulfill our own answers. Okay, whatever she says is right. Then I might not accept whatever she says. I might just pick a point from what she says, at the same time balance with mine, so it doesn't look like I've eradicated whatever she said, or because of she's from the old place. Though they are more vast, they are more advanced, let me put it that way. But we were like the technologically advanced type of generation. So things that we know now are not things that, some of the things they don't know, like they don't know back then. But we come in and it's quite difficult. It's
I
quite
know.
difficult. 'Cause you cannot convince you cannot convince an African parent, trust me. And in the aspect of the respect of a thing, I feel it should, that's where communication comes in. Like my mom, if I'm using myself as an example, if I'm having an argument, she's always pained, she's always shouting, hey mama, Ada, how would you do this? And the only thing I would do is just keep quiet. She's
Just to satisfy her.
no, not suffer, to keep quiet, because the more I like, if I should start exchanging words, it's like all the friends they have been following, bad friends, this I said, wow, where have we gone to? Next they say you're just doing like you're just acting demonic, all these demonic behaviors. What have we gotten to? What is going on?
So at the end of the day, do you tilt towards what she has said, or maybe for that moment you were trying
Just
to,
for that moment,
but you're
like
still going
for
to do
that
something
point,
different?
I will not do something different. At the same time, like I said, as I said, I will just I'll pick from ideas or opinions or advice, then check mine and see if it's something that is related. But
You're
for that
picking
moment,
from her. Was it intentional or just to satisfy her?
I would say both, because there was a reason why I actually walked up to her to just hear what she had to contribute to the issue on ground. And if it's something I can decide on my own, I would have done that. But I can actually decide, but I still need an elderly advice.
Sometimes when you reach out to someone, you have an opinion, you reach out to someone, you are sort of like looking for a validation of what you have in
Exactly,
mind.
yes.
And when you don't get that,
I just go with
what your own instinct.
exactly. But for that moment, I'm just trying to satisfy her. So she'll be like, well, so she have this feeling like I contributed to something. You get? Because she's always like, I don't talk to her. I'm always reserved, stuff like that. So me telling her things, and me coming up to her to ask for one or two things is always like making her happy. And it's not like I am doing intentional. It's just unconsciously.
So I want to ask a question now. Do you sometimes go against her advice?
A lot.
And she knows, or she doesn't know? You know,
People are putting me in a tight spot.
no, we're not putting you on a tight spot. I just want to
Okay,
ask. Okay, not your mom now. Let's just say any elderly person in your life.
Okay. Like I said, most elderly people, they're always right. They always claim right because they feel.
You feel no. There are two things you are saying now. They are always
Yes.
right, and they claim.
Okay.
Do you
Claim
think
to
they
be
are?
right.
I at times they are right. Even when they are wrong, they don't want to accept the fact that they are wrong. They just
Maybe they don't want to admit before you.
exactly. They don't want to admit. They don't
Before
want to just
you.
exactly because they feel I'm too small. I'm too young to be telling them what to do, stuff like that. So whatever they say for that moment goes.
Would you say the younger generation are rude and stubborn because they are highly opinionated?
Okay, thank you so much, GM. I would say that they are not rude. There is a difference between personality and the generation itself.
Okay.
As a generation, we cannot conclude that all the people in that generation are rude. But there can be personality differences that one needs to work on. I would say that I'm a very opinionated person, and because of that, some people perceive me wrongly. Let me start this way. I was going to study law, but my mom refused, and my dad, because they said you will die very soon. That was their own opinion about me if I studied the law, because
How?
they know the kind of person I can be.
Because you
I,
cost.
I stand for what is the truth. I don't care whoever you are. I do not care. In my church, I'm known for that. And they believe that if you want to get the truth, go and meet Anu. I won't mince words. I won't tell you that. I won't rub your ego because you are bigger than me or because you are more financially buoyant.
But don't you think sometimes you need to be tactical when you are saying all of this or when you are acting? That I think that's the difference between the older generation and the younger generation. Would you agree with me?
Yeah, but there are some cases that you have to just spill the truth as they are, because you cannot get the answers you deserve or desire by being tactical.
So
They
let me cut you there and ask. I believe you're a Christian.
Yeah.
I'm not a pastor, but I know there is a Bible passage that says wisdom is profitable
Yes.
to
It's direct.
direct. And I Jesus Christ was faced with more question in the temple, right? And you could see that in some instance where they wanted a yes or no answer, he provided them with a proverb too. So don't you think sometimes yes and no is perceived rightly as being rude?
Okay. Sometimes what I do is I don't just tell them that, oh, this is what I want or this is what I don't want. Of course, as we grow in life, we learn certain things. Before, the younger me, I'll go straight to say, no, you're doing nonsense. Yes, you're
So
doing
do you
the right thing."
agree when your parents said you would die early if you went on that path? Don't you think they saw something and from their time and knowing their environment? And I want to believe you also believe that they are very knowledgeable and wise. Do you think they were wrong to say you will die?
That's where the mistake came from, because they could have sat me down and told me that, you know what, you speak the truth. However, can you be more tactical
will you
about
listen?
it?
Would you listen? With the way you are saying it, Yorubas would
We
say,
cannot-
"Dead the mirror."
We cannot eradicate how these generations are going to behave. What we can do is to embrace and have, like, try to come together, try to infuse what is supposed to be the truth
In
and
between.
how to go about the truth. Because I'm going to die early if I study that law does not mean that they should have said don't study
Exactly. They're like honestly, because there's a way they could have actually just called her, though she might refuse at that point, but definitely in her own corner space, she's going to she's going to sit
And I'm still going
okay,
to study the
reason.
law.
But
Whether they like
come
it
to
or
think
not.
of it, but for someone who is highly opinionated, now you are being told not to do a certain thing, and you don't buy
There must be a
into
reason
it.
why. There must
Even
be a
in the
reason
Bible,
why.
there have been instances where God will say, "Take this step of faith." It won't tell you the outcome.
So
Because sometimes maybe if it tells you the outcome, you might even relax. Just like they normally say, if you know when you're going to succeed as a human being, you will just relax and wait for that date before you take action. But now you're taking action every day. You're working. You're leaving your home. You don't even know when your hustle, like they normally say, will come to roost or to crystallize. Maybe it's today. Maybe it's tomorrow. If you know it's a certain date, maybe December 24, you will wait till December 23 before you take action.
But you know what, GM, there's actually a way. There's actually a way you can approach or you can put in your words. You cannot just say, if you study law, you will die.
Do
Why?
you guys listen?
But do you
What's
think
the
the child will
reason?
listen? I'll
No,
tell
there
you.
should be a reason. Okay,
I'll
you
tell
cannot-
you,
okay, this is the
me, I
reason why
never
you
listened.
die.
I'm using myself. Me, I never listened. And this is what I mean. I had similar experiences. Okay, so growing up, I used to tell people that, what do you want to become? I was telling people doctor, right? I don't know who
Most
put
of
it
us
in
will
my
say
head.
that, yes.
But
I
as
said
at the time when I got sense, let me use that. Let me be very. I was not asking myself, I don't want to be a doctor, and it became a problem, right? Because they just feel any child that does well in school from those days. In fact, the only thing they know is doctor, lawyer,
engineer.
engineer.
Yes.
And in fact, some of us now, our parents ask us, what do you do? Because they don't understand anything you are saying.
Exactly.
Data
It does
analysis.
not
So
align to the
imagine you go home now,
conventional-
you're telling your parent, maybe now that, okay, content creation, everybody seems to know what content creation
You don't
is.
have a job.
But imagine 2 years ago, 3 years ago, you're telling your parents, I'm into content creation.
Some people have told their parents that work is stressing me. I've resigned. I'm a freelancer now. And the father is thinking, does this boy want to kill himself? How will he eat? Do you know? So those are the things. However, in my case, what I'm saying is there is no, you are saying this thing now thinking you would have listened because of the time that has passed from that time till now. But I'm telling you for sure, for a child that is highly opinionated at that point, the higher tendencies you will not listen. I'm using myself as an example. Look, let me tell you, the WAEC result I came back home with is not what anybody knew in the house. And this is what I would do. I was a science student. That was never what I wanted to be, but I was doing it for my father. Then when it was time to register for SSC, I registered for art. I'll collect people that wrote science exams. I'll go out on the same day they are writing and come back with the science exam. How was the exam? Fine. When result came out, it became a problem. So that's how my life. So it only takes, and this is why I still tell people that regrets are not now.
Okay.
Trust me, the things you think you regret, those things you ask me, some decisions I took then, I was doing it to make my father angry because I felt like, so I will not do what I want. You too, you will not get what I. So, but now looking back, I will not be like, if I knew Nigeria would be like this, I would have just listened. So there was no guarantee that you'd have listened.
That I would have listened.
That you'd have done what they said you should do.
Yes.
If they said don't become a lawyer at that point.
When I was in primary school, I wanted to become a newscaster because I loved what they were doing, right? So, but as I got to secondary school, senior secondary school, I saw the need to study law because I wanted to advocate for people. I wanted to, take them off that bondage. But as my parents discussed with me, they said, "Oh, I know we don't want you," and all. That was not the only influence to changing my decision, right? And I just changed, having the thought that, of course, I can still fight for people's right and all. And that still happened because currently I'm still advocating for some set of people. That's the inmates. I still advocate for them that, okay, they can still have a second chance. And that's why I said that they've not taken that law away from me. It's just that maybe if I'd gone for that, I might not be knowledgeable to have all what I know currently, that how to address the issue. I might not have gotten that knowledge. But now I have a wider experience that, okay, without this law, I'm still able to achieve the social advocacy. And I still intend to go for the law.
But what did they wanted you to be in place of the law?
They didn't choose a career for me.
So don't you think they were even nice?
Yes.
To not, because some parents will go ahead and tell you this is what now maybe your great grandmother died of one serious illness. Your father from that time will be like, if my child don't become a doctor, or somebody stole your family's land, the father will not be like, if my child don't become a lawyer, or maybe a soldier man collected the one wife he was supposed to marry. He will say, but for them not to give you this thing, don't you think they were acting based on what they know? Don't you think on that premise we should be a little bit more
whether I studied law or not, everybody would die.
Definitely, exactly.
No, I'm not talking about their decision. I'm just saying, don't you think the decisions our parents took was because of what they knew? They didn't know more than what they, everybody will act based on what they know. They didn't know more than what they knew. That was why they were taking those decisions. That's why if you're seeing much younger parents that are a little bit exposed, little things are no longer things like a child coming up and saying, I want to dye my hair. It's not going to be so, it's not like they will not take an issue, but it will not be a big, in fact at that time they can chase you from the house. You can't sleep in that house. You come back. Even when I started having beards, it was a big problem. Will you cut that thing? Like, and going now, you now see those. So don't you think it was what they knew?
Well, it was what they had perceived about me. That, okay, I'm sure that they are my parents and they know me better. That, oh, maybe they have seen the end, and that's why they decided that way. And this still boils down to one's belief system and values. And I'm going to be tilting the conversation towards, okay, so when we were younger, and it still happens, the older generation will tell you that, once you have started menstruating, don't touch a man.
If you touch a man, you get pregnant.
Yes.
You get pregnant. You cannot sit beside your parent to discuss sex education because they can't even have that conversation with you.
Don't also forget the part whereby if you are watching a kissing scene, you have to close your eyes.
You have to close your eyes. They won't tell us why we shouldn't do that. They
That's
just say that
it.
once you touch. And
Why
I
sh- why
begin
should
to
you not
imagine
touch?
I've touched man severally. I'm not
And I'm
pregnant.
not pregnant.
But don't you think? But don't you think that because of the nature of the people that we have now, the younger generation, they're very inquisitive. They want to explore. So now they tell you, don't do this thing. Even in the Bible, when Adam was told not to eat the fruit of life, right? He still went ahead and ate it. So now the explorative nature of the younger generation will make them to do what they are told not to do. Now let me ask you one question.
Okay.
Are you stubborn?
It depends on. I'll say I'm not stubborn. Maybe or maybe not. It depends on where you're
A
coming
moment
from.
ago, you said the parents asked you to do law. They asked you not. They asked you not to read law.
Mm-hmm.
You want to read law, and a moment ago you said you were still going to read that law.
Mm-hmm.
Are you stubborn?
That's because they did not. They were scared of the unknown. They don't have a cogent reason why I shouldn't, apart from the death. There are more positivity why I should than the negativity.
Now, whether you study law, you will die.
Probably
if you
they
did not study
felt
law,
that.
you will still
Probably
die.
they felt that because of her kind of personality, she's the kind of person that takes no nonsense. If she should study law,
She will go and fight
lawyers
battles,
are
right?
always faced with lots of threats and people.
What they didn't know
and
is there are
all.
different types of law. They could have even educated me that we have company law.
Maybe you
but
were not
because
right.
they
This,
did not know.
No.
That's what I'm still saying. It
Ode,
is based on
maybe-
what they knew.
Maybe no. It could be a function of she was not ripe for such information. Now, sometimes when we're watching films, when I'm watching film with my family, my kids will ask, "Oh, what's the meaning of that?" Sometimes I felt, "Oh, is brain or our brain?" Because I have both boys and girls, so may not be able to fully comprehend the explanation. So at that point, I needed to tell them what would just make them not to ask further questions. Maybe at a later date, I will now talk to them when I feel, okay, this person is matured enough. So maybe at that point, you might not truly understand what they were trying to tell you. That's why they will tell you, okay, don't do this if you do this. Yorubas are fond of doing that. They will tell you don't do this for certain reasons, maybe until when you now start asking questions. Now, the difference between the older generation and the younger generation is they are very inquisitive. They want to know who is behind the veil. They want to know if there is a masquerade. Who is behind the masquerade?
Okay, I think what the younger generations are clamoring for is we don't want you to enforce your opinion.
Exactly,
On us.
don't.
Tell us why we should. Give us objective,
reasons.
reasons. Let us
Cogent
reason.
reasons, not just any reasons.
Don't just
cogent
tell us
ones.
that okay, do it this way, and you want
And
us to
you're supposed to
accept
just
it,
follow,
that, that
like-
way.
But
It's not
who,
like-
who do you
puppets.
think? Who do you think the younger generations are getting their influences from? Because obviously they don't exist in a void.
Yeah.
Something is definitely influencing them. Who do you think?
Well,
Yeah, social media.
okay, yeah, I would say that we have different reasons or influences, and that's because they get to be
Can you
exposed
name?
to.
Can you name them?
I would say not definitely woo or technology. You know, the fact that they can, what's it called now? Validate their opinion.
Do you think we are unduly influenced by the West? And by the West, I mean European nations, and let's say an Americanization of our society.
Unduly influenced.
Unduly, yes,
Yes.
I use the word unduly. And I use the word Americanization. Let's even take away the West.
West.
Do you think we are being unduly influenced by the American culture, pop culture?
Okay, I would say that we are not unduly influenced.
So what do you say about some of the recent happenings? Because it's almost like everything that comes from the West by the youth is right. Now you engage a youth in an argument, and rightfully they will tell you go abroad. Like, we are quick to quote to let people know that if you are an advanced country, right? So why do we relegate? And it goes even as much as things that borders on values, not even infrastructure. Let's
Okay.
take away infrastructure. When you're talking about infrastructure, I would say yes, there are things you can look at. But you look at societies where even their value system you can't. It's responsible for a lot of ills that are happening. School shooting. Do you get
Transgender
depression?
issue.
Do you understand? Misconception about who you truly are, and you're talking about what was the sex assigned to you at birth. Those are things that seems abnormal, but it's now, well, we're accepting it
The new
because
normal.
it's an American thing. So don't you think those are undue influences? Because I asked this because
Okay.
I want to see, do you even know where some of these influences are coming from? And I see that sometimes what we call right or wrong is because it is called right or wrong over there, not because we've really looked at it from our own perspective. And sorry to say, even the technology we are talking about, there's no technology now that we can say an African man, not a black man,
Yes.
created. It is TikTok is the in thing now, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be the in thing for us till they push another technology
Technology.
to
To
us.
us.
Not till we come up
Come
with
up.
our own technology. So don't you think there's an undue influence on this generation of youths? I'm not this generation of youths.
Why are you
I mean
facing
Gen
me?
Zs.
Why
No,
are you-
okay. On this generation of youths, I mean the Gen Zs. I'll let you speak now.
Okay. So I agree with some of the things you said. That's why I said that there's a difference between personality and generation. So even with the fact that we have a lot of a lot of people in this generation tilting towards technology and in an experienced country, this is how it is being done. A lot of other youths still
What do you mean
analyze
by
it critically.
experienced country?
Advanced.
So we are not
So,
advanced.
Our country is not advanced.
We are developing. We are not
No,
developed.
so I don't want to
I
agree.
don't
What
think
so
I
so
will
don't
agree
you
to
think
that.
is a narrative they sell by their media to make you feel you are not advanced? Don't you think so?
Okay,
Or
so
would you say they have gotten to the end of their own advancement?
Okay.
okay, I would say that there are a lot of things that add up towards becoming, developed. And when they do those analyses, we are not there yet.
Who does the
And our
analysis?
economy is still
Who does this
struggling.
analysis?
Okay, I see where you're coming from.
No. I want us to I want to understand you.
Even the learned people among the Africans, I've also joined them. We have Africans over there that I've also joined them to analyze all of these things.
Don't you
So
think
we
we
are
are
not
falling
just
for
being
the narrative?
emotional. We are being analytical now. This is what we can see. Okay, if they are saying that they are analyzing the country based on the economy, the education and all, we can see for ourselves that, okay, our education is staggering. The
But
economy
what are
is
they
not-
educating you on? Now let me I say that there are people that have postulated that the current education system we use in Africa cannot take Africans anywhere. You are being educated for the West. Do you agree?
Okay, in the older generation, we couldn't have sat this way to say we want to do podcast. That microphone you are using is an initiative of the education that, okay, the West has imbibed into us. So not all the things that we learn from them are negative, but as younger generations, how do we make the good of that information that we are learning?
So the good thing is not only Africa had contact with the West, right?
Okay.
I want to believe even the Asians
Yeah.
had. But why does it seem like Africa is the only set of beings that want to be taught everything? Don't you think it's because we are receptive and, to use your word, we have accepted that we are not as advanced? Because the Chinese will never call them the advanced world. Even the Indians. So it's more like we get contact with these people, right? All of these people got in contact with these people and are trying to pick out things that will help them better themselves, right? While preserving their own identity. but it's Africans that are ready to change their identity to become these people. What do you think is wrong?
Okay, I
Or
would say
don't you
that.
think anything is
I
wrong?
would say that, well, maybe we perceive them as an advanced country because we are still learning from them. Okay, I would say that as you were seated right there, I can say you are more advanced or more experienced because I see that there are still some things that I'm here to know and I can learn from you. We might not, and it would be very wrong of me to be in a competition or be in competition with who I should be learning from.
Okay, sorry. Let me ask this now. I'm going to take you on what you just said now. You said the youth of this generation wants to be liberated, wants to be expressive. They should be left to question things that the older generation are telling them.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, when you are interacting with the Western world, you take everything hook, line, and sinker. But for the older generation here, you feel they should be questioned. Why?
Would you want to answer that?
There you go first.
No, I think she.
Did I get you
she
guys
wants, she
there?
wants a breather.
Yes.
She wants to take a
I
breather.
think
She wants to think of her answers well.
I have to think well first. You go first.
So I can be stating my opinions before they think. The problem is, I don't know how true these statistics are. They said among immigrants population in the US, it is black immigrants, and black immigrants, African immigrants, that you find that the women are filing for divorce
Yeah.
when they relocate. So someone asked the question, why are the Indians not doing that? They are also immigrant population. And the Indians are almost as much as Africans
Yes.
there. Why are
The Chinese.
why are the Asians not doing that? So it just made me to start thinking. Again, I'm not saying this based off of any scholarly research that I did. I'm just thinking, is it not because we are quick to accept anything? We just believe that, look, this thing, as long as it's not our skin, these people are somewhere. I just feel it's something that is a mental. When Bob Marley say emancipate yourself from mental slavery, I know we don't like to hear it, but it's a form of mental slavery that we just accept everything. I'm not going. I'll say something now.
Okay.
It's not a shade to you, right? Why do we wear wigs as women? To look like. I'm really interested. Maybe if anyone had done the research to go back in time, and when did the African woman start wearing wigs? I don't know. I want to really know, right? I've been searching and I've not really seen where did it go from. But I want to believe it started as, it's a colonial thing. I want to have this. Even the Jerry coils that men do back in the days, it's because you want your hair to look like the white man's hair, right? And I've always seen that the tactics, where you hear of even feminism and all of that. Feminism is not a bad thing anyway. Extreme feminism, or what people are now doing, is now what is bad, right? And all of those phenomena. I feel like to subdue any population, the first people you target are the women. That's just my.
It happened in the Bible.
Yeah, it happens. So it's easier to subdue a man once you get their women. So you have to. So they found a way, and fashion you get, and then ideologies are now the thing that they used to subdue. And it's just because we as Africans we've seen ourselves, we've accepted that, look, these people are gods. I used to remember before I started thinking this way, I used to think back in time that it's as if this black skin is cursed. I used to think very small, like that why I used to be like, if they leave the black man, this world will still be in the Stone Age because black man is comfortable. And now over time I started thinking that, but it's a good thing, because a lot of the idiotic experiments that the white man does, sorry, I'm not a racist, but is what has brought us a lot of problems that we don't. Even some of the diseases, they are experimenting and then they just bring things. But if you leave the black man, he's going to leave the world almost the way God created. He will be living in nature, right? So Maybe that's what I think. That's what I perceive, right? And I still insist I might be wrong. So maybe you have an answer for the question you
Okay,
asked.
I think that we have started questioning some of the things that we once had taken the way we were given to. And I would say even from our dressings, maybe the bridal dressing and all, it's back in like some years ago, they were dressing a certain way
Mm-hmm.
that depicted like British and all.
British, yeah, culture
Now,
stuff.
if you look at how our brides, how they dress nowadays,
Corsets.
they're now infusing, some of them, they're now infusing our culture into what they had taken from the British people. And you will see them wearing ashoke comfortably,
Mm-hmm.
wearing their, if they are Igbo, wearing their attire comfortably, which was not the way it was.
Do you mean the white people now?
No, I mean us here. So we've
Okay.
started rejecting some of the things that we had once accepted, and we've started infusing our own culture and perspective to beautify whatever thing we had. So I think a problem, or what we need to talk about, is the fact that the older generation, we cannot say everything they are doing is wrong, right? However, how can we infuse what they are? Not everything is right, and not everything is wrong. How can we
Yeah.
infuse what they are giving us to what is also good from our own end to make something better out of it?
Okay,
Yes.
I get you. I feel like I said, they've been here before us. They've seen a lot before us. So all we are, what the younger generations now are aware, like we are being influenced by technology. Trust me, whatever we are doing is through technology, and you can't just impose that on the older generations. They will still hold on to their own beliefs.
So we should
And
wait, let them die.
no, I'm not saying, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that it is a gradual process. You can't just enforce it on them just like that. It's a
Okay.
gradual
But they
process.
said the only thing permanent is change. Are
That
you
is why I
saying the
said-
older generation are resisting
No.
change?
See, it's your level of approach. Like when you say respect, I will not lie. Some of our younger generations are extremely rude.
Okay.
They are rude.
Someone
So-
is admitting today.
That's not I said some. They are rude, and like they don't want to get what you tell them, but they want you to accept whatever you tell them. So even if they're talking to an elderly person, there's a way they, and there's a level of approach you can come about with your discussion. Like my grandpa, till now there are some things my grandpa will tell me, and I always from back then, because he actually worked with British company and embassy and all. So I'm always like looking at him. This man is old. My grandpa still climbs mango tree till now. This man is old and all, but when he sits me down till now and says some things, I'm always like connecting it to what the younger generations are doing. Like it's always looking like what we are doing, cause he's trying to accept it. That's why I said it's communication. You don't just impose it on them. It's gradually. My grandpa didn't use phone. He doesn't even know how phone works. But with time, we're teaching him stuff like that. Gradually.
Okay,
Get
so are
it?
we going to deny the fact that some of the things that the technology brought to this new generation have brought us is no? A lot of, we are comfortable. Okay, if you look at the older generations, they were comfortable coming to the office physically. They could come to the office every day. They were fine with it, right? So, but a new generation, they would prefer to work from home. Another generation, they have what they call work integrity. They can stick to one work 15 years, 20 years. They are still doing
Yeah.
that work, right?
Like the force.
And the younger generation, they believe that no, in 10 years I want to have had experience with like 10 companies
It's definitely.
and all. So, and okay, some of the things that the younger generations are pushing for might actually be wrong or are actually wrong, but it's going to also lie with the older generation to use. They said if you want to catch a monkey,
You have
Behave
to
like a
act like a
monkey.
monkey.
act like a monkey. We are interested in some of the tools like YouTube. You see a new generation, TikToking and all. It will be wise of the older generation who still want to instill respect, discipline in the younger generation to now adapt to those tools in passing those information. And that's why we have podcasts today. People come on podcasts to hear their opinions to people, which can actually be faster than just sitting at home.
But I think it's not as if the older generation are totally unreceptive to technological advancement. The only issue we have here is the older generation they are picky, they are selective. They think deeply before they accept or reject. They exercise patience. But the new generation, the younger generation, they are quick to accept. I think that's the difference. The younger generation believes that they have to move at a very fast pace. They have to think at a very fast pace. But the older generation would take in information, sink it in, think about it before they act.
I want to interject and ask you a question, which is, was there a time where the older generation were behaving like the youths of now? Now let me rephrase. I want to believe before computers we had typewriter. I know I used typewriter when we were doing ASDF column. So before computers came, I want to believe those people that was the technology at that time.
My mother was a typewriter.
So was there a time
typist,
there a time where this set of older people were feeling, and I mean the older people of their time, was feeling outdone by what they were doing?
I would say yes. But the thing is, they were not as daring as the current younger generation now.
And don't you think the next generation, the Gen X, right? Correct me.
No.
Who are
The
those
Gen
ones
X
after
comes
Gen Z?
before the
Gen X,
millennials.
Yes. Gen X
You have the
comes
millennials now. You have
the bomb.
is it boomers or so?
The ones after Gen Z now. Who are the ones coming after
coming
Gen Z?
after Gen Z? I have no idea.
I can't recall.
They are COVID children.
Yeah.
Gen Y. Gen Y. Alpha, yeah. So those ones will be more daring. We can already see those are the ones that they tell you just drop a gadget.
The
You don't need to
stakes
teach
are
them.
getting higher and higher again. But the truth of the matter is, just like myself now, there were things I did maybe when I was much younger that maybe I won't do that now because I had better knowledge. I heard an actress saying that who is divorced now. She was saying that the knowledge she has now, the experience she has now, if she had them before or then, that she would have made a better decision, that she won't be divorced. I've seen some celebrities come out to say, oh, they made mistakes in leaving their marriages. At that point in time, they acted on the emotions. But now, they see things differently. So they felt, oh, they could have held back a bit.
So
which
why
they didn't.
what I'm asking this question is, why are the older generations complaining? Is it just because it doesn't favor them currently? Because if you are saying, yes, there was a time where they were also like this, although a little bit less daring, right? So why are they coming? Why are they not seeing like it's a cycle? It's just our time to now face this and believe and rest that whatever these ones are doing, the next
kind
one
of children we are going to birth are going to be more daring than we have currently.
So they will also be in the current situation
That
of the
you
older generation.
have.
But the truth of the matter is, do I say everyone is selfish? When you feel your time is going, it's just like the political
Exactly.
elites
You don't want
now.
to let go.
Now, you've spent like 7.5 years in office. The reality is now dawning on you that in a few
soon
months'
retire.
time, you'll be out of office.
Yes.
Out of office.
It's not
I feel
not a good experience.
The truth is, whether we like it or not, the younger ones are the current teachers, right? They are trying to enthrone their own, their new order, right? And while both generations, the older ones and we the youths can, whether with the youths we are still part of the Gen Zs, we are the youths, right? They just have to align, right? However, when it borders on value systems and cultures, the elders can protest. And when we talk about value system, it's not your hairstyle. It's not whether you're putting on earring. There is also a global culture. Whether you're talking about culture, there is a global culture.
Yeah, there's a place of culture.
There is
yes.
a place of global. There are things that is bad here and is bad everywhere. Nobody can come and say killing is good, right?
Yeah,
and all
yeah,
of
it's
those
not
things.
good everywhere.
Okay.
And that's what I tell my because I'm the first child. When they call to say your sibling has done this, sometimes I make it my duty to tell them that look, these things you're complaining about is
Nothing.
you can't be calling me to tell me that someone braid his hair. And I asked, do you want to now kill yourself because the person braid? And then I've seen that sometimes when I make those strong positions, they go back and they think, and next time they don't even disturb about that. I don't know if what is going on in their mind. Maybe they are not like, these children have ganged up against us, those kind of things. But I just feel there has to be an alignment, and it's a cycle.
Yeah, like you said, it's a
And-
circle that will surely come and go.
I also think that having open communication
That's what I'm. All these
Would
things people are
also
saying.
solve
It still boils down to communicate. The way you communicate with them, definitely. Your
mutual
Okay.
respect as well. Respect the fact that they are
So
also
you
right.
feel the older generation don't share that mutual respect?
They do not.
Oh, the truth of the matter is this.
They don't.
This discussion will never end.
It can never end.
It will never end. Like they said, this discussion will never end. It's something that will keep recurring and recurring. And like one of the people here said, it's a circle and it will surely come and go. Another set will come again. It's been an interesting show today. But hoping to see you in the next episode. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you for being on the set.
Ode.
So thank you, listeners.
Stop facing me. Like, stop facing me. I'm not the Gen Z.
All right, we
Are you-
hope to see
are
you
you
in the
Gen Z?
next episode
Yes,
again.
I
Thank you
am.
very much
Are you-
and
Gen
have a
Z?
I don't know
wonderful
now, you are a
Eh,
youth
no,
now.
like.